We often hear about lyrics or song titles being inspired by real-life events. But what about bass lines? Today we're going to have a look at some stories and anecdotes that inspired some of our favorite bass players. Talking Heads' Psycho Killer was famously inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. The song tells the story of a serial killer going crazy. The main musical hook is the bass line, performed by Tina Weymouth, which was also inspired by the movie. Weymouth once claimed that she conceived the bass line as a nod to Bernard Herrmann's iconic stabbing strings from the shower scene in the movie. The iconic bass line of New Order's Blue Monday was also movie inspired. Bass player Peter Hook famously modeled his bass riff after a section of Ennio Morricone's music for the Western movie For a Few Dollars More. Shark Attack by the Bouncing Souls is also inspired from a very famous movie theme.
They don't want anything in our freezer.
They're scum, I tell you right now. They're homeless people.
They're not homeless, they're in a band. They played in France.
Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie features one of the simplest yet epic bass lines in rock music. The riff was composed by bass player John Deacon during the Queen-Bowie writing session, which was notoriously sparked by alcohol. The group later left to buy pizza, but Deacon forgot the song's riff by the time they returned to the studio. It completely escaped his mind, and there was no recording of it. Fortunately, drummer Roger Taylor managed to remember it, saving the day. Though mainly based on a guitar riff, Kiss's Deuce was actually composed on bass by bass player Gene Simmons. Simmons claimed he simply copied the bass line of the Rolling Stones' Bitch and played it more or less backward. The famous bass groove for Rocket Queen grew out of a shared passion Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan and drummer Steven Adler had for funk music, specifically, in this case, Cameo's Just Be Yourself and Word Up. Green Day's Mike Dirnt wrote the bass line for Longview on LSD. Dirnt told Rolling Stone that he was tripping when he came out with the bass line for one of the main tracks of their breakthrough album Dookie. Later, it took him a long time to be able to play it. And in fact, if you try to get it down, you'll find out it ain't as easy as it seems. The bass line for Girls on Film by Duran Duran was inspired by the disco song You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester. Bass player John Taylor was famously into disco music and used to borrow disco elements all the time to complete his bass lines. The famous bass line for Lou Reed's Walk on the White Side was recorded by session player Herbie Flowers. The part is composed of two different bass lines. Flowers recorded the root notes using a double bass and then overdubbed another line playing a tenth above with a regular bass guitar. Not only did Flowers lay down an iconic bass line, but he also got double pay. The recording rate for a session player at the time was 12 English pounds for 3 hours. But if you made an overdub, that counted for 2 instruments and you got double money. Peg by Steely Dan also has a good bass line and a pretty good story behind it. The band had hired session player Chuck Rainey to record bass. During the recording of Peg, Rainey thought he could use some slapping during the bridge, but band member Walter Becker told him not to slap. Rainey simply put up a partition so that Becker and singer Donald Fagen couldn't see him through the control room window while he slapped. The result is one of the grooviest and funkiest rhythms in the entire Steely Dan catalog. Another One Bites the Dust by Queen is one of the most famous bass lines ever. You might be surprised to know that it was inspired by another of the most famous bass lines ever, Good Times by Chic. Which also inspired another pretty popular bass line, Around the World by Daft Punk. And yes, even Good Times took inspiration. Apparently, the mother of all bass lines is Kool and the Gang's Hollywood Swingin'. I went to a theater. If you know where these guys got inspired from, let me know in the comments. Peace Sells by Megadeth is also a very popular bass line among metal fans. Though associated with bass player David Ellefson, the part was composed by lead singer Dave Mustaine. On an all fretless bass, Ellefson had lying around in the flat. We're going to end this video with King for a Day by English funk band Jamiroquai. The story behind it is that the song has no bass at all, no bass guitar and no synth bass either, which is unusual for a band that built its sound on bass. Then bass player Stuart Zender had left the band on bad terms just before entering the studio. The legend says singer J.K. wrote King for a Day for him and intentionally recorded it with no bass part. I have previously analyzed most of the bass players mentioned in this video, so if you're interested, I'm linking some videos for you to check out. I hope you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, please leave a comment and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for more.